In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to use Davinci Resolve 16, and we're going to be editing a Mini Cooper commercial together, and by the end of this crash course, you're going to become a master of Davinci Resolve 16, and you'll be able to make your own videos from start to finish. Now, I've left all the timestamps down below in the description as well, and if you guys do want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit the like button down below. And with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and download and install Davinci Resolve 16, and I'll put all the links down below in the description to the download page, as well as all of the assets we're going to be using to build out our commercial. Now, once you have Davinci Resolve installed, you can go ahead and open it, and you're going to be taken to the home page. Now here what you can do is you can open up old projects. So as you can see, this is the commercial I made earlier, but what we're going to be doing right now is creating a new project, and I'm just going to name it tutorial commercial, like so. And then we're going to click on create, and it's going to open up our new project. Now, once Davinci Resolve opens up, the interface might be a little bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's not as scary as it seems. The way Davinci Resolve works is it's broken down into 7 different interfaces, and each interface represents a component of your workflow. So starting off with the media tab, this is where you add all of your clips and footage that you're going to be actually editing. And then in the cut tab, what you can do is you can use this tab to do some very precise trimming and cutting of your clips. And then you can do most of your editing within the editing tab. And this is your traditional timeline style editing, where you can edit your clips as well as add any text or effects and other elements. The Fusion tab is used to do some more complicated video effects and animations. The color tab is used to do all of your color correcting. The Fairlight tab is for people that want to edit their audio in very high detail and add some complicated edits to it. And then once everything is done, you can use the Deliver tab to preview your footage as well as export your final product. And on the right side, you also have the home button, and this will take you back to the home page where you can see your projects. And then you can also click on the settings tab, and here all you want to make sure is that your timeline frame rate, your playback frame rate, and your video format frame rate are all set to the same number, and that'll just make things easier, and you're not going to be messing things up because of the frame rate. And once you have gone through the settings and have everything optimized, you can also save the current state of your settings as a new preset by going to Save As. So the first thing we're going to be doing is adding all of the clips and footage we need. And to do that, we're going to go into the Media tab, right click, and then go to Import Media. And here we're going to be selecting all of the footage, the music, and the logo, and we're going to click on Open. You can also just drag and drop different files to the media pool. And then to preview a clip, you can just double click on it, and it's going to open up, and you can click on the play button to see it. Now, for this project, we have 2 clips of the Mini Cooper. We have this one clip, which is slowed down. And then if we click on the second one, this one is normal speed, and it's the car just entering from the right side, and we're going to be splitting this one up. But once we have all of the media imported, we can move on to the cut tab. And here I'm going to be showing you how to add clips to your timeline, as well as how to do some cutting of your clips. So if you want to preview a clip before you add it to your timeline, all you have to do is double click on it, and it's going to open up. And what we can do is we can look at the clip, and this is the slowed down one, and we're going to be keeping all of it, so it looks good to me. And then we're just going to drag the clip to our timeline to add it, and as you can see, it's already been added. Now, what you can also do is you can trim your clips before you add them to your timeline. And so if we double click on the second clip we're going to be adding, let's say we want to add this clip right where the car is coming in. If I want this to be my starting point, I can click on the I letter on my keyboard. And as you can see, this line has been formed, which indicates that when this clip is dragged onto my timeline, it will be starting from where I indicated. And then if we play this clip all the way through, let's say I don't want the entire clip, I want it until 9 or 10 seconds. Let me just click stop, and then I can click on the O key, and that'll be the end of the clip. And what I can do is I can just drag this to my timeline as well. And now what it's going to do is it's going to basically add only the component that I specified. Now, once the clips are added to our timeline, we can use the scroll wheel to go through and look at everything. And now what we can do is we can also cut our clips by going to the start or end of a clip and see this bracket with an arrow pop up, and then we can just drag it to cut the clip, and we can see the preview on the top, and the cutting is very precise right now, but we don't need to actually cut it, so we'll leave it the way it is. And if you go in between two clips and you see the brackets and the arrows come up, what you can do is you can cut them both at the same time. So one clip is overriding the other, and you can see the difference in where both clips are being split up. But that's basically a quick overview of the Cut tab. We're now going to go ahead and go into the Edit tab. And the first thing you're going to notice is that your timeline is in sync across all the tabs. So everything we've added previously has been added to the Edit tab as well, and we can see it over here. Now I'll walk you guys through the interface very quickly. So on the top left, we have all of our media. And of course, you can right click and also import media from here. You don't have to do it from the Media tab. And then moving along, we have a preview of the different footage. And then beside that, we have a preview of our timeline. So if I was to just drag across the timeline, we can see it previewing on the right side. Now, the two most important things that you need to learn about that make the Edit tab different are going to be the Effects library and the Inspector tab. So if we just click on the Effects library, this is where you can add all of your transitions, your titles, and your effects. And then if we move along to the right side above the preview of the timeline, we can click on the Inspector tab. And this is where you can edit all of your footage. So you can edit the actual footage as well as any other effects that you add to your footage. For example, right now, if I click on this footage of the car, I can just change the zoom, the position, the rotation. So for example, if I made it 1.25, it'll proportionately zoom into the footage because we have everything linked with this link button. But I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to undo that. And then moving along, we also have the Mixer tab. So you can toggle this, and this is for editing your audio, which we're going to be diving into later. And then finally, we have our timeline, and the timeline is basically layer based. So if we had additional clips, you would see that there are multiple layers. And within the timeline, we can of course move around our clips, and we can cut them the same way as the Cut tab, but we can also go ahead and lock the layers if we don't want to move them anymore. And we can double click on the name to rename them as well. So I'm going to make this car footage, but that's just a quick overview of the interface. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be cutting our clips again, but this time we're going to be using the blade tool. So what I want to do for this commercial is I want to take this longer clip and split it into two. And so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to press on the B key, and that's going to select the blade tool, as you can see here. And if we go onto our timeline, we can see this blade, and all I have to do is click where I want the clip to be split, and then it's going to split the footage. And then what I can do is I can press on the A key, and it's going to take me back to the regular selection cursor. And now I can just move around my clips to be in the order that I want. Now, before we move our clips around, we also have to get rid of the audio. So this is the default audio that came with the footage. And we can see this link button, which basically shows that the two are linked together. And if we move them, they move together. And so to unlink everything, what you can do is you can select all the clips on your timeline, or you can also just click on them and press Shift to select them all. And then you can click on this link button to unlink everything. And now if we click on the footage, we can see that it doesn't select the audio. So it's unlinked, and all I'm going to do is go ahead and delete it by selecting each audio clip, and then I can press delete and it deletes everything. Now, if you want to navigate around your timeline, you can scroll from the bottom, or what you can also do is press Alt and scroll, and that lets you zoom in and out of your timeline. Now what we're going to do is just move around our clips. So all we want to do is swap the location of these two clips, and we can just drag everything, and it's going to move it accordingly, like so. And now if we play our footage back, we can see we have the car going in, like so. We then have the slowed down footage of the different angle, and then we have the final angle. And what we need to do now is we need to speed up this middle clip. And so This will let us see how the right click settings work. So if we right click on a clip, we can see a bunch of additional settings come up. Of course, we can copy and paste and cut the clip by pressing, Control C, Control V, or Control X to cut it. But we're going to go ahead and go into the clip speed. And once we click on change clip speed, here we can change the speed, and we're just going to make it 200% and click on change. And then we're going to drag this other clip to lock it and have everything together. What you can also do if you have a gap is just click on the gap and then press delete, and it's going to do the same thing. And now if we play back our footage, what we can see is we have the first clip, we have the second clip, and then we have the third clip. I'm just going to change the length of the final clip because I think it's a little bit too long, and that looks good to me. And what we're also going to quickly do is just add in the Mini Cooper logo at the end, and we're going to have it be a little bit shorter. I'm also going to go into the inspector panel, and right now it's a little bit too big, so I'm just going to make it smaller. And what I can do is I can just go ahead and change the zoom to 0.25, and that makes it smaller. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at how to add different transitions and effects. Now the first thing we're going to do is add a fade to our footage. And the easiest way to do this is actually do it within the timeline. So I'm going to press Alt and then use my scroll wheel to zoom in. And then if we go to the top left of the clip, we're going to see two arrows and a little pointer. And once that pops up, you can just click and drag, and it'll actually create a fade within your timeline. And we can do the same thing on the right side as well. And I'm also going to do the same thing for the Mini Cooper clip, like so. And then if we go ahead and we play this back, we can see that we have a nice fade. Now, another way you can add transitions is, of course, by going into video transitions. And for example, if I wanted to add a blur dissolve, I can go and drag it to my timeline. And now we also have the blur dissolve with the fade. And I can edit this effect within the timeline by dragging it to change the length. So I could make it a lot longer, but I'm just going to keep it in sync with the fade because I think that looks better. And I can also edit it within the inspector. So if I click on the effect, you can see all of the settings for this effect within the inspector. So you can get very, very, very detailed with the kind of effects you want to add. And what you can also do is you can add actual video effects on top of these transitions. So for example, if I go into Open Effects and I go down, we can see is there are a ton of different effects we can add. And one that we can add maybe to the middle clip is a light ray. So all you have to do is you have to drag it to your clip, just like the previous transition. And now we have this light ray on our clip. And if I wanted to edit this light ray, all I have to do is click on the clip, go into Inspector, like so. And then if I go into the Open Effects, we can see the light ray is selected. And here we can actually edit this ray because right now it's very bright. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the brightness and make it more subtle. I'm going to make it 0.1, and that looks a lot better to me. I'm also going to make the color more of a yellowish orange to emulate like a sunrise, and then I'll click OK, and that's how we add effects. So as you can see, Davinci Resolve is very intuitive, and basically all you have to do is click on whatever you want to edit, and then you can find it in the inspector, and then you can edit it. Now what we're also going to do is we're going to add some text. And adding text is very similar. We just have to go into titles. We can go into text and we can drag it to our timeline. Now this text I'm going to have on top of the footage. So it's going to be in the layer above. And what this will let us do is basically allow us to have the text on top so we can see it. And I'm going to make this start after the fade, but then it'll last for the entire commercial clip. And then what I can also do is I can similarly go to the top left and have these two arrows and drag to create a fade. And I'm going to do this on both sides. Now to edit the text, all I have to do is click on it and it'll show up over here in the inspector tab. And I'm going to just type in introducing the new Mini Cooper. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the font I'm going to make it Sego UI light. And I'm also going to just drag the size and change it so that it's smaller, and change the position and make the y-axis 110 to bring it down. And I'm just going to make sure everything looks good. Yep, that's how I want it to be. There we go. So things are coming along, and we can obviously add other changes such as drop shadows, strokes. We can even add a background to our text, but for now we're going to keep it the way it is because I think this suits the commercial really well. So now we've added all of the effects and text. Next, we're going to go ahead and add some audio and learn how to edit audio. So we've already imported this song that we're going to be using as the background track. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to drag it to my timeline. And this song is a couple minutes long, so I have to cut it down. So I'm going to press Alt and use the scroll wheel to zoom out. And then I'm just going to go to the end of the song and drag like so to cut it. And maybe we'll make the song play a little bit longer. So once the logo fades out, the song can also fade out after. And of course, to fade the audio, you can do the same thing. You can go ahead and go on the top right and drag out to create an audio fade. And we're going to do the same thing on the left side as well. Now, if we want to change the levels of our audio, we can do this in multiple ways. The first way is by going and finding the white line on our audio track, and we can just drag it up and down to change the volume. The second way you can edit the audio is by going and clicking on the audio track and then going into the trusty old inspector tool. And here we can go ahead and change the clip volume as well. And we can see it's changing in a similar fashion. So now our commercial is pretty much done. Let me just play it back to show you what we have so far. So as you can see, it's pretty much done. We have all of our clips, we've edited them. We've added our audio, our logo, our text, and all of the fades and transitions as well. But we're just going to be quickly going over the other tabs as well. So the Fusion tab is used to do very complicated effects. So what you can do is you can select on a clip you want to edit. And then if you go into the Fusion tab, you can add effects more in depth. Now, if you're doing basic video editing, you're not going to need this, but the way it basically works is you'll go ahead and choose an effect you want to add, and then you can just find the actual blur you want to add, and then you can drag it in, and it's done through sequencing. So that's a quick overview of the Fusion tool. Like I said, you don't really need it if you're doing basic editing. So I'm just going to press Ctrl-Z to undo that. And then we're going to go into the color tab. And if you're someone who's really into color correcting, you're going to love Davinci Resolve. And you can literally spend tens of hours talking about the color correcting tools because Davinci Resolve is known for this. But just to give you guys a quick overview of how it works, you can basically select any clip you want to color correct it. And then you can add all of the color correcting effects you want with the wheel at the bottom. Now, if you're a beginner, you can just mess with, the saturation, the hue, and the contrast. So for example, if I wanted to color correct this clip, maybe I want to make it a little bit more orange. So I'll drag the lift like so. And then I'll just increase the saturation slightly and then increase the contrast slightly. And as we can see, our clip now looks different. And the reason I'm showing you this is because what you can also do once you edit a clip is you can see that it has been color corrected by looking at the number with the border, and the border is in colors now. And I can add the same effect to the other clips by copying and pasting it to these second and third clips. And to do that, all I have to do is click on the clip, press Ctrl-Z, go on the next clip, press Ctrl-V, go on the final clip, and then press Ctrl-V as well. And then of course we have the Fairlight tab as well. We're not going to be going over this because chances are you're not going to need to do in-depth audio editing, but there's a ton of tutorials on how to use Fusion, Color, and Fairlight, but our commercial is basically done. So all we need to do is go to the Deliver tab. So once you're in the Deliver tab, you can press the play button and you can preview your final project. And once everything looks good, you can go ahead and export your video by modifying the export settings. Now, If you're editing a 1080p video for YouTube, you can also use the pre-made settings. So I can just click on this and all of the settings will appear. And I'm just going to change the file name to commercial. The location is where the final file is going to save. So I'm just going to save it to my videos. And then we're going to select the resolution and frame rate. And of course, you want this to match your project settings. And once you have your render settings complete, all you have to do is click on Add to Render Queue, and it's going to show up on the render queue, and then you can start render to render the final project, and it's going to show up wherever you saved the file location. But that's about it. That's how you use Davinci Resolve 16 from start to finish. Hopefully this tutorial did help you out. If it did, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and as always, thanks for watching. My name is Ziovo, and I'm signing out.